Okay, welcome back to the Listen from your host Nissim. Today we're with Yehoshua Zakai in the Old City in Mount Zion. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, bro.
He's going to tell us a little bit about his background, how he arrived to where he is, and about his life's work that's been materialized. So, please.
So, I was a poor artist in Australia. Actually, it begins about 5 or 6 years ago. About 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was a professional musician. I was playing in bars around Australia. Also traveled a bit of the world playing in bars. Just a solo act. And then I was also got to a point in my life where I was squatting. In Australia, a lot of the Europeans visit Australia because there's a lot of free houses because the Asians buy them and they don't inhabit them. So the law in Australia is if something's not inhabited, you're allowed to just step in and take it. So the hippies, what the hippies do,
Don't talk about the hippies.
is the hippies just take over them. They come from Europe.
Yeah, keep going.
They come from Europe. And they live in these abandoned houses for years, and nothing happens. And if they live in one for more than 3 years, it becomes their ownership, according to Australian law. Anyway, so I was doing that. It was a beautiful healing time for me. And but at the end of it, I realized, I was 25 or something, and it wasn't, it was going nowhere. I had no money, I had no responsibility. I wanted to have a family one day, had to do something. And music, I wasn't enjoying playing around the place, so I decided I'd start drawing because I've always been creative. So I started drawing 12 hours a day. Within a year or two, I was already drawing tattoos for people. And my goal was to become a tattoo artist. I got my first tattoo gun and started tattooing myself. Okay? So then that week, pretty much, I became religious.
How?
Yeah, I had an acid experience, LSD.
Can you describe what you experienced?
It was probably like my 70th acid experience, but I left the world. I never left the world before. I was out. I'm not even sure if my heart was beating. And I was in this place for eternity. It was all black and there was light. It was like the deeper mechanics of the world. Everything was light. It looked like a computer chip kind of made of light in a dark place. And then I was there for eternity. I didn't think I'd be coming back. And then all of a sudden this rainbow light Torah scroll, totally luminescent, like transient, incredible, comes just swimming in like this. And it just takes my neshama. And I was at home. And I hadn't thought about Torah. I hadn't put on tefillin for like 6, 7 years. None of that. And I was at home for the first time in forever. And it brought me back down to my body. Wait for it. I hadn't spoken to my parents in years. Okay, but recently I just got back in contact with him. And a couple of days before, or maybe I think it could have been that day, because this was already nighttime. So the day before, I took my tefillin back. I hadn't seen it in years, but I was just taking things back and putting in my new apartment that I had. Okay. So I come back into my body. The sun's literally rising as I'm coming back into my body. And my tefillin's behind me for the first time in years. I put it on, and I was home. I called my rabbi from Bar Mitzvah years, so hadn't spoken really 12 years, seriously. Like, hey, God's real. How do I thank him for everything? So I started learning Torah. And I was drawing every day and learning Torah, and family thought I was nuts because I was 25 and going nowhere. And I was in doctor. I could have been a doctor, like I was a smart kid, and my parents just saw me make all the wrong decisions. I had to find myself. I had to deal with stuff, and and then I had a wonderful mentor come into my life years later when my work was already like high quality. I was, and I couldn't make tattoos for people, so I was like, I'll make a children's book, and I was making a children's book because he was like, hey man, use your talents instead of like trying to make money, instead of trying to like impress people, use your talents to do good for the world. So I was like, okay, well, what's the greatest good? Torah. So I can educate people with Torah. I can bring joy to their life. The goal is to educate people with Torah. The whole goal of this book, which took the last 2 years to really complete, 2.5 years maybe, 200-page book, was to turn it into an anime with the backbone of Kabbalah, like the deepest mysticism that's never really been shared with the whole world, and a lot of the stuff hasn't even been translated. So that was the whole goal. And with animation, what the Japanese did, I wanted to do what the Japanese did because I was actually going logically based on exactly what the Japanese did. You see, they entwined their philosophies and all their beliefs and their people and the beauty of their Japan, the land, into all their anime series. It started streaming over to the Western world in the 90s. They were making about 4 TV shows a year. Now they're making 300 a year. And Japan all of a sudden went from, in World War II, they were perceived as the enemy and they were like rubbish in the West's eyes. And now they're the most popular tourist destination in the West. So I connected that with anime and I got all these statistics. I compiled the whole business document, got all these statistics from all over the web and stuff. And I was like, wait, it's literally anime that's done this. So I was like, why don't we just do that with Kabbalah? It's so easy. So I was like, okay. So I put my effort. I tried to write it for a year and it wasn't working. And then I ended up getting this opportunity in Israel because they saw this children's book I did and they wanted to start an arts program for artists. So I was the first guy in that program. And a couple of weeks before I came to Israel, I was just writing a diary entry, which I never do. And it turned out to be all night, all day, all night, all day, all night, all day, all night, all day. Running on coffees, and I wrote like a 40,000 page script for an anime, and it just shot out of me. And then I spent the last year in Israel, which really changed everything because I needed to be here to really do this, and I needed to be around the right like masters of like Kabbalah and stuff like that to get the real facts, and I had to read the whole of Shas to do this. So I edited it. And I took it up from a 40,000 page script to an 85,000 page book. No, not page, word book, which was about 300 pages. And then I cut it down to 50,000 words, which is, by the 7th draft, it's about 50,000 words, which is a 200 page book. And I took like, no one's done it before, I took like all the deepest Kabbalah, the analogies, like some of the deepest analogies in a step-by-step fashion throughout the novel. You gain the information required to understand some of the deepest concepts about Jewish mysticism, about how the world comes into existence, about energy, about how energy moves through time, about how it's controlled, how it nullifies the instability in the soul when it comes down, these great lights. And it's like, this is the deepest stuff. And it's also very connected to psychedelics and the different states that you can bring on through psychedelic medicine. So I tried to connect it with that as well, because I got a lot of interest in that because it healed me with a lot of my stuff. So it's also dangerous. It's dangerous because some people take it, they go nuts. I went slightly nuts too. But in the long term, it really gives someone a greater foundation to know themselves, know this world, know where they are, and make a good change in the world.
That's like existentially?
What do you mean existentially?
Like questioning life and existence, purpose. That's what you mean by nuts?
By what?
Nuts.
Nuts? Yeah, well, the people in my life who had known me my whole life, they thought I went nuts. I didn't think I'd go nuts. I just seen things that they had never experienced, and that changed me. And they didn't understand that, so I didn't go nuts. But some people, like, you hear stories, they go nuts, but maybe that's just the people that knew them saying they went nuts, but from their opinion, the whole world opened up to them, because that's really what happens. You know, but there's stories of people who really have like bad things happen. So you got to be careful. It's only healing will last. If you got the right intentions, if you do something like this for healing, for connection, for understanding, not for selfish things, then you'll get it. But if you can't face the truth, if people have done something so evil in their life that they can't face it, because it shows you the truth of your actions and everything that's happened in your life. So if you've done something so evil you can't face, then when you have this experience, it'll be very dark and you'll never want to go near them again because it's terrifying.
Is there a passage that we should sample, or you don't think it's
a passage that we could read the blurb?
Yeah.
And then there's one passage, if I can find the page. You want me to read it?
Please,
or you want to read it?
You go ahead.
Eliyahu Ben-Edo, a pioneering doctor in psychedelic medicine, leads a serene life until an urgent call from Shlomo, the disciple of a legendary Kabbalist, shatters his calm. The disappearance of the revered sage thrusts Eliyahu into a race against time to uncover the truth. As the narrative unfolds, Eliyahu embarks on a journey that delves into the elusive nature of existence. It challenges the idea that perception shapes reality, revealing how often we see what we wish to believe rather than the stark truth. The concept of the spiritual worlds, realms that blur the lines between reality and imagination, are introduced, and at its epicenter lies the notion of prophecy, where these two worlds converge. This raises a profound question: what is truth and what is fabrication, when all is perceived through the lens of human imagination, which is our mind? According to Kabbalah, it's the imaginary faculty where the intellect and everything is, and it's beyond space-time. The narrative probes our identity in relation to the totality of existence across time, questioning whether the future is predetermined or malleable. It's very, very basic stuff. But just no one had done it before, so I decided to do it. And there's a nice, just in the first pages. Where is it? Yeah, it's interesting just to know this, because a lot of people don't know this. This idea comes from another source, a very respected rabbi who read Shas, who knew the whole Oral Torah pretty much by heart. Actually, he knew every page where everything was. And he said this. What's his name? I can't remember. I wish I did. Stop it that I did. No. Ah, it's the strangest saluting me. Nah, I must be looking in the wrong area. Anyway.
It's very exciting, and eventually to be turned into an anime.
That's the goal, because I want to reach the biggest audience, because I want to change the way people see the Torah. I don't want them to think it's biblical and outdated anymore, and it's very possible to do using television and or a novel, if people have the time to read a novel. But these days you can get the biggest masses through like a television series, especially like an anime in the mainstream, and the whole goal is to show people that, wait a second, Torah isn't actually biblical and outdated like most people think. That's the Bible. It's not biblical and outdated. It actually contains the deepest mysticism in the world. It explains how reality comes into existence. It explains the nature of it, how energy moves through time. It's like the most profound thing, that it's on a Kabbalistic level. And the sages all understood this. The sages have written about it, and a lot of the texts haven't even been translated into English. So like, it's stuff that people don't know, and it's like, they don't even have access to the information. So all I was doing was literally making it accessible to them in a way which is entertaining for them.
How did you find out about the art program in Israel?
No, man. So a rabbi sent my details on to Menachem, who was starting a program for artists, and my website, which had my artwork, not this, but like my older artwork, like my tattoos I'd done, just different designs, and like my children's book. And he was super interested in getting me over here, and I had no money. I was like literally like, yeah, man, I got no money. He's like, doesn't matter, buy a ticket, come over. And he changed my life, and I got to finish the book. I spent over 2,000 hours writing this last year. Every evening I'd do 4 to 6 hours. This drawing, the front cover, took over 200 hours to draw, and all that he allowed me to do, you know. And they housed me, they gave me food, they really let me experience it, you know. So I'm really grateful for it. That aspect of it changed everything for me.
Do you want to share that website so other people can see it?
Nah, I don't do websites anymore.
I mean, where they can see your older art?
No, it's down. I can't afford a website. It's like they want like $120 Australian a year.
Yeah, it's true.
To keep it up. I'm like, It didn't even help that much with my business, because if you can't afford marketing, who's going to go to your website? But it got me here, which is like Hashem had a purpose. Abba Todah, Zil.
I'm going to show the camera the cover art. Back. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, and we look forward to great things that the ideas that were once non-physical will now be able to enter the minds of other people in the world.
Yeah, man. People deserve this. They yearn for it. They just don't have access to it. And they don't know where to look. It's in the last place to look.
It's in the last place to look.
Yeah. The modern day guys, they're looking Buddhism, Taoism, and they're gonna look Bible. They grew up with Christianity, and they hate the Bible. They want nothing to do with it. It's all false to them.
Very good, incredible. Thank you so much.
No worries.
All right. Thanks for watching. And do you want to say your email, if they want to?
Yeah, email is ybzakai, ybzakai @gmail.com.